Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to Relax and Read with Mrs. B. So, we are finally finishing up Who is Michelle Obama? We only have 2 chapters to go. These chapters are super long. So, thank you so much for keeping in step and keeping on track. If you've been following the videos of the book, this is the third video, and this is the final one. So, here we go. We are on chapter 7. Race for the White House. Now that Barack was in Washington as a senator, Michelle was even lonelier. But she decided not to be upset all the time. Instead, she figured out how to make things work. She got up early each morning so she could go to the gym and work out. She hired more babysitters. She asked her mother to help out more often with the girls. Life was easy for another reason, too. The Obamas no longer had to worry about money. Many years before, Barack had written a book, Dreams from My Father. It was about his childhood and growing up. After his stirring speech at the 2004 convention, the book became a bestseller. That's some passive income. There it is. People are lining up to read about Obama's life. The Obamas were able to buy a 6-bedroom house. Michelle felt much more secure about their future. She was proud of Barack too. He was doing important work in Congress. He helped pass a law to reduce the number of nuclear weapons in Europe and Russia. He spoke out against the war in Iraq. He also talked about helping the victims of Hurricane Katrina. So Michelle wasn't surprised when Barack told her that he wanted to run for president. And she didn't object. She simply asked a lot of questions. Could he really win? Where would the girls go to school? How would it change their lives? Would they be safe? Would the girls have any privacy? And could Barack beat Hillary Clinton, the senator from New York who wanted to be the next Democratic candidate for president? Barack had good answers for all of her questions. He believed he could win the nomination and the election. He could keep the girls safe and raise them in the way they both wanted to. However, Barack left the final decision on this big step to Michelle. If she didn't agree, he wouldn't run. Michelle mulled it over. She knew some things would be hard, but she also realized how important this was, not just for Barack. It would be a turning point for the whole country to have the first African American president. As the first Black First Lady, Michelle would make history too. Finally, Michelle said yes, Barack should run for president, but she asked him to promise 2 things. Barack had to quit smoking, and he had to promise that Malia and Sasha could get a puppy after the election, whether Barack won or lost. Barack announced his candidacy to the world in February 2007. From that point on, he and Michelle were busy day and night. Michelle cut back on her job. She only worked a few hours a week. That way, she'd have time to help out with the campaign. To keep herself healthy, she worked out 3 times a week. At the same time, she tried to keep their family life stable. She tried to have dinner with the girls every night. Voters, however, wanted to meet her to find out what she was like. People were fascinated with her as well as her husband. This meant traveling to many states. So Michelle made some rules for herself. She would only leave Chicago 1 day a week. She would be home for Malia and Sasha's soccer games, parent conferences, and dance recitals. She tried to be home every night before the girls went to bed. Michelle also bought 2 laptop computers. That way, she and Barack could video chat with their girls whenever they were away. And as always, Marion Robinson helped take care of the children. That's Michelle's mom. It was tiring, but Michelle didn't mind because her girls were happy. The girls, they just think mommy was at work, Michelle said. They didn't know I was in New Hampshire. Michelle was a very honest, open person. She joked a lot on the campaign trail and didn't mince words. Sometimes said things that got her in trouble. Once, she told a crowd that Barack's run for the presidency made her really proud of her country for the first time in my adult life. Her comment caused an uproar. Michelle probably meant that Barack's campaign made her feel more proud than ever before, but that's not what she said. Her words made it sound like she wasn't proud of America until now. The quote was all over the news. After that, Michelle was more careful about what she said, but she was still honest and open. People loved her, and many shared her values. She talked a lot about working hard, doing your best, and putting family first. In August, a few months before the election, People magazine wrote an article about the family. It included the Obama family's house rules. Rule number 1 was no whining, arguing, or annoying teasing. Rule number 2, make the bed. Doesn't have to look good, just throw the sheet over it. They also had a rule about Christmas, which the family often spent in Hawaii. Michelle and Barack didn't give their daughters any presents. Michelle thought Santa brought enough presents for the kids. She didn't want her daughters to be spoiled. In November 2008, Barack Obama was elected president. Michelle became a first lady. She looked nothing like the first ladies who had come before her. For the first time in history, there was a young, beautiful, talented Black family living in the White House. It was an exciting and inspiring time in America. Chapter 8, First Lady. On January 20th, 2009, the Obamas moved into the White House. It was the day of the inauguration, the big ceremony to swear in the new president. According to the Constitution, the president would be sworn in at exactly noon. Barack stood on the steps of the Capitol. Michelle smiled as she held a famous Bible in her hands. It was Abraham Lincoln's Bible. Millions of people watched the ceremony on television. They knew they were witnessing an important moment in history. Malia and Sasha were there too. At 7, Sasha was so little she had to stand on a wooden box to see the swearing in. The inauguration was more than a one-day event. It was like a huge party. There was an amazing concert a few days before. The biggest pop stars in America performed on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. What a day that was. Barack also held a King Day of service named for Martin Luther King Jr. Barack, Michelle, Malia, and Sasha all did volunteer work that day to help soldiers in Iraq. After the inauguration, there were parades, luncheons, and celebrations. That night, there was a series of fancy balls for the new president. Everyone waited to see what Michelle would wear. Her beautiful long white gown was stunning. Michelle and Barack danced at 10 balls that night. Wow! For their first dance, the pop star Beyoncé sang a romantic song called At Last. The song was about two people in love finally being together. One of the lyrics said, "My lonely days are over." For Michelle, it was especially true. Her lonely days were over. Now, for the first time in many years, the family would be living together full time. Barack's office would be in the same place where he lived, the White House. He would be able to walk upstairs at 6:30 every night and eat dinner with Michelle and the girls. A few hours after the inauguration, Michelle, Barack, and the girls moved into the White House. When they arrived, it looked like they already lived there. Malia's clothes were hung in her closet. Sasha's toys were arranged on her dresser. Their posters of the Jonas Brothers were already up on the walls. How could it happen so fast? The White House staff was very organized. They unpacked everything in 6 hours. They knew where to put everything because they had taken pictures in the Obama family's Chicago home. Michelle Obama made some rules on the first day. She told the staff that Malia and Sasha still had to do their chores. They had to make their beds themselves and pick up their toys. She wanted them to have as normal a life as possible. Of course, the White House wasn't a normal house. There was a bowling alley, a swimming pool, and a movie theater inside. There were 3 elevators and 35 bathrooms. On the top floor, there was a game room with a pool table. Part of the White House was used for special events concerts, balls, and formal dinners. But the president's family didn't live in those rooms. They lived upstairs on the second and third floors in rooms that were cozier and more private. Here's a diagram of the White House now. Michelle's job as First Lady was to act as hostess for important events. She was in charge of formal dinners when presidents, kings, and queens came to visit. She traveled to foreign countries to represent America when Barack couldn't go. Living in the White House wasn't always fun. The Obamas couldn't go anywhere without the Secret Service to protect them. On Halloween, Sasha and Malia tried to go trick-or-treating in a regular neighborhood, but people mobbed the girls and started taking pictures. The girls had to go home. That was one thing Michelle was very strict about. They had made a rule that the press couldn't take pictures of Malia and Sasha without permission. The press respected the rule and gave the girls plenty of privacy. Another time, Barack took Michelle to New York City. He had promised her a date, dinner, and a Broadway show. They flew on Air Force One. Of course, the Secret Service had to come along. They didn't have much privacy. Then reporters criticized the president for spending taxpayers' money for a night out in New York. The Secret Service had code names for each family member. The president's code name was Renegade. Michelle's was Renaissance. Malia's was Radiance. Sasha's was Rosebush. By tradition, the code names for a president's family all have the same first letter. Barack Obama was the commander-in-chief, but Michelle called herself the mom-in-chief. She said being a good parent was her most important job. To help out, Michelle's mother moved into the White House too. Marion Robinson was the first grandma. She took the girls to school every day at Sidwell Friends, a private school, and took care of them whenever Michelle was away. Barack kept his promise to Michelle. He quit smoking, although it took a few years to really stop. They also got a puppy from Malia and Sasha. The fuzzy black and white dog was a Portuguese water dog. They named him Bo. Michelle became an incredibly popular First Lady. From the inauguration on, she was known as a fashion star. Some clothes were from expensive, fancy designers. Some were from popular stores like Target or J. Crew. But whatever she wore, she always looked fabulous. As always, Michelle wanted to make a difference in people's lives. She started a program to help kids stay healthy. First, she planted a vegetable garden at the White House. She invited kids from a local school to help. The White House chefs used the vegetables in meals for the family. Michelle hoped that kids all over America would eat more healthy foods. In 2010, Michelle started a program called Let's Move. Getting exercise was just as important as eating right. That's why she had been teaching kids to hula hoop on the White House lawn at the very beginning of the chapter of the book. She suggested that schools stay open in the evening so that families could come play basketball. Towns could create more bike lanes and walking paths. Michelle hoped more kids would walk to school. She also wanted to help military families. Michelle started a program called Joining Forces. Michelle believed that while a mother or father was fighting a war overseas, the rest of the family was also serving the country. These families often had to pick up and move from one military base to another. Often soldiers were stationed far away. This was hard on everyone in the family. Michelle wanted Americans to show their appreciation for the sacrifices made by military families. Michelle was so popular that she helped her husband get elected to a second term as president. In September 2012, she gave a brilliant, moving speech at the Democratic Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. She talked about the things she and Barack believed in. They believed you should work hard for what you want in life. They believed you should always keep your word and do what you say you're going to do. I concur. They believed you should treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them. Like Barack's speech in 2004, her speech was so good that it made people cry, cheer, and leap to their feet. The photos taken of Michelle that night showed her smiling and beautiful. It made voters want to believe in Barack when his confident, smart, good-hearted wife believed in him so strongly. Sasha, Malia, and Barack watched Michelle on TV as she gave the speech. Malia was a teenager starting high school. Pretty soon, she'd be learning how to drive. Sasha was 11. They weren't little girls now, they were growing up. In November, Barack Obama was elected for the second term as president. A photo of Michelle and Barack hugging that night was tweeted by the White House. It became the most retweeted photo in history. Wow. On January 21st, 2013, Barack Obama was sworn in for a second term before a massive crowd. The ceremony fell on the same day that Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday was celebrated. When Barack Obama took the oath of office, he placed his hands on both Abraham Lincoln's Bible and a Bible that had belonged to Reverend King. This time, the White House staff did not have to rush to move furniture into the White House. Michelle Obama and her family were happy and comfortable there now. She looked forward to another 4 years as First Lady, speaking out for good causes and raising her daughters in Washington. After all, the family was together. Family, that's what had always been most important to Michelle Obama. Thank you so much, boys and girls, for joining me in reading Who is Michelle Obama? I hope you were inspired by her voice through the pages of this book, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.